Okay, there we go, 1900, Sunday, 5th of June 2022. Let's get started and see who all is out there for this evening's weekly net check-ins. ZS6 Oscar Papa Sierra standing by. Okay, Pia, you just came through sort of, but you are dropping out badly this time round, eh? Okay, that there was a lot better that time. Alright, let's acknowledge ZS6 FPS. Good evening, Pia. Anybody else out there for this week's check-ins? ZS6 OPS standing by.
Evening, Chair.
Okay, Adrian, good evening. Are you not coming up on 2 tonight?
The radios is not connected, and I just walked in was out of town, just walked in, so I'm on Zoom at the moment.
Okay, now that's fine, then you can stay up on Zoom, that's not a problem at all. Okay, let's just acknowledge those that are in actual fact up on Zoom as well. We got ZS6SNY and Fani. Let me write this down while I'm talking about it. And Fani ZR6 Papa November's with us as well. Good evening, guys. Anybody else out there for this week's weekly check-in? ZS6 OPS standing by.
Chad, there is still a serious harm on your signal, eh?
Yeah, no, dude, I've become a bird, eh? I mean, that's all. Just think of me as a bird. Oh, wait, I'm recording this. I forgot this is recorded. Okay, 1903. Let's do this as a second last check-in before I get myself into serious trouble on Zoom. ZS6 OPS standing by. Right, nothing else heard. Let's do last call. Last call for check-in. ZS6 OPS. I was told you yesterday, Pierre. It's from those cosmic rays behind me that dam is coming. Alright, somebody else keyed up there, but no modulation. Do you want to try again? ZS6 OPS. Okay, nothing else heard. Good evening, everybody. Let's get started with the weekly net. As I said earlier, Sunday the 5th of June 2022, into the last sort of leg of the half-yearly midpoint and all the other good stuff that goes with it. Time is now 19:05. I'd like to thank everybody who has called in, and especially to those who are too scared, too embarrassed, too intimidated, too victimized to call in, but are in actual fact listening. I do appreciate your ear, and of course I'd just like to remind everybody that you do not need to be a member of any organization, body, entity, or otherwise. In other words, in order to join the net. My apologies. All you need is a paid up ICASA license fee. Despite what everybody else might think, despite what everybody else might say, and despite what everybody else would like, you do not need to belong to anything, anywhere at all to use the repeater or to come up on the air, and especially to join our Sunday night net. So, having taken all the pleasantries into account and consideration, let's kick off. Really not much to report this week, considering the fact that the sudden cold weather kicked in, and I think everybody has gone into that hibernation mode. I know I definitely want to. I think a lot of people worldwide, really, especially when we start looking at our South African COVID-19 figures in particular, have in actual fact resorted to spending a fair bit more time indoors and probably just with their families, and may not be doing as much visiting or having as many visitors around in general. And the reason I say that is because just looking at the figures on the COVID-19 figures for South Africa nationally, we've been averaging between 1 and 5,000 a day. We did peak at one point at 8,000, but I think that could very well have been again as a result of the weekend. So I tend to see that early part of the week, every week, is a spike to it. That's probably because of the fact that people that have contracted COVID or have become symptomatic over the course of the weekend only get tested on the Monday, or at least the results of the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday testing only becomes available sort of Tuesday and Wednesday. So on average between 1.5 and 5,000 new cases a day. Death toll again also has been between, let me clear the timer. Okay, ZS6 OPS returning. The national death toll at the moment has again been under 10. I know we had one spike of about 24, but I think that is attributed to the weekend statistics being released a bit late, or at least tests are only conducted in bulk probably the first 2 days of the week. Then when we switch over to our global figures, now even here, the global figures at the moment are 531,827,000, as opposed to last week's 528,775,000. You know, if you look at this, you're looking at approximately 3.1 million new cases globally. And that is again a lot lower than what we were averaging of like 15 and 5 million a week. So the numbers definitely are coming down, and again, maybe change of season. We might see Europe will start spiking again during the summer month, which is a bit strange because I think everybody expected COVID to really knock us in the winter months. But as I said earlier, perhaps less visitors, less visitations being undertaken, and less possibility of spreading or at least contracting COVID-19. So that in itself has become quite a good thing to see in terms of numbers globally and of course nationally. Then the war in Ukraine still is creating a bit of a problem, especially when it comes to food shortages. I know that the African Union and many African countries are now sitting with a situation where they fear food security, so we need to keep our eye on that ball and to monitor and watch the progress and how this actually plays out. Then again, the Ukrainian war has had an impact on the general sort of delivery of product around the world, which is again, just compounded the whole issue of COVID-19, the shortages of chips and that type of thing. So, in essence, we are having problems, and that's on a global front. And of course, South Africa, we still have been experiencing load shedding issues. But one of the major concerns, I think, at the moment is the attack on infrastructure within South Africa. Let's clear the TOT with the timeout timer. Okay, ZS6 OPS is returning. One of the bigger concerns that I think everybody should take cognizance of moving forward is the attack on infrastructure. We already know, especially in the city of Johannesburg, many cases and incidents are reported of electrical cables being uprooted, dug up at night, pulled off of poles, that type of thing, pulled out of poles. We've seen on social media where robot poles are cut down. The pole is left behind, but just that 2.2 meters or 2.5 meters by 3 or 4 strands of cable that's inside are virtually ripped out of the light pole, and the guys take the copper and off they go with that, and they seem to be quite happy with it. So that we are quite accustomed to. However, one of the bigger trends that's taking place now, especially around the Ruhrport area, is the fact that we've not only got people vandalizing many power distribution boxes and boards that we see located at various intersections, but also the actual circuit breakers and lightning arresters that are installed at the base of the overhead light poles. The guys are now not only just stealing the front covers, or shopping for the front covers, they're also taking out the lightning arresters and the circuit breakers, and if they can pull the cables out, they do that. Funny I say that, I noticed that the pole outside my house this morning, the cables have been cut. Seriously, they just cut the cables and walked off with whatever was in the inside. I've never had a cover plate there for years, but somebody decided now that the contents should in actual fact be taken. And then earlier on this morning, somebody was in actual fact apprehended just around the corner for doing exactly the same thing. So it might have been the same chap. I should speak to the security guys. They might still have the equipment and we can get it back and reinstall it. The point that I'm trying to make here is that as radio amateurs and as volunteers, we living in very different times. Stability does not exist. Capability does not exist. And I'm not accusing anybody or being political. We've got to start looking at that. The fact of the matter is that our infrastructure is under attack. There's another hospital in the last 24 hours in KZN, I think this one is, that has now reported a major fire. Old Joburg Gen reported another incident last week. Okay, ZS6 OPS returning. So another incident was reported at Joburg Gen last week, and there was one or two other hospitals, I just can't remember which ones, who also reported fires that had destroyed vast areas of the hospital operational facilities. Now, this is concerning that when your electrical supply grid is going down, we can't rely on cell phone networks. By this stage, I can't understand it. It makes no common sense to me. Well, okay, common sense, wisdom is just really common sense. There is no common sense when people still maintain that cell phones, can never crash and never fail and all the rest of it. And I say that on the back end of having put out a message to have a discussion with the local community on two-way radio communications, being told those cell phones will always work, we don't need to worry about it. And I woke up the next morning and believe it or not, my Apple iPhone had actually crashed and died sudden death. So that one took a nosedive, and that wasn't as a result of dropping it or cracking the screen or anything funny like that. It just refused point blank to turn on. So if it isn't a cell phone network going down, it is a hardware issue that can cause a problem. And it's not that easy to replace a cell phone. Hopefully, as radio amateurs and definitely as CERT volunteers, we shouldn't just have one radio. We should have a multitude, a backpack, or better still, in good old-fashioned radio amateur style, a garage full of radios that we can always have a backup and rely on that. Outside of that, not much else to report. The Philippines now, during the course of the last couple of hours, have suffered a volcano eruption, which has covered the entire Philippines in ash, and so they've become a very grey city there. There's at this moment in time nothing black or white about them, as the town is covered in grey ash. So we just hope for the best and hope that people aren't going to be subjected to all kinds of ailments as a result of the inhalation of those ashes, both hot and cold and all the other good stuff. And being the Philippines, I know that the disaster management, civil defense organizations, and of course the healthcare services will in actual fact be able to take care of the situation, but we'll have to monitor those reports. And then of course there was a hurricane or cyclone that hit Mexico. Not many have, not much reporting. ZS6OPS returning, not much being reported, at least I should say, on Mexico, with the exception that I believe 9 people have lost their lives. Right, that's it. Nothing else from my side. If anybody on Zoom's got a question, please raise your hand and I'll tackle it. Pierre, as you are the only one that came up on 2 meters, I'm not going to ask for you to come back on 2, you can just come back on Zoom. And having a look at the screen, no hands have gone up, so in that case, let's just do a final call for check-ins, and then I'll close the net. ZS6OPS standing by. Okay, no further call-ins. Guys, on that note, still, because COVID hasn't disappeared as yet, remember to sanitize your hands on a regular basis, and definitely wear a mask in public, and physically distance yourself or yourselves from each other as best possible. And then of course for the week moving forward, be safe, be prepared, and of course be happy. ZS6OPS now releasing 145.625 for general use. Cheers all. Yeah, my right shoulder is so fucking sore again from sitting at this desk. You miserable mutts. I'm gonna stop the recording. You miserable mutts can unmute, because whoever listens to this are gonna think I'm very rude. No, don't comment and say I am. Don't even go there.